Everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Tuesday. It's July 9th. It is 2024. We have a 11-game MLB slate to talk about here on today's podcast. Joined today by my good buddy Keith Eyster. I was reading backwards. Keith Eyster, Eys819. I had the YouTube page up and I started to play the video in my ear. And I quickly did it, and it was I saw Will's name. So Keith, what's up, Keith?
Not too much, man. Monday slate got kind of flipped on its head with Chris Sale getting the scratch midday. I faded Andrew Abbott, so that did not work out too well. Colorado is just awful. It was a great spot for Abbott. I just didn't like the ownership number. Probably should have pivoted off that strategy once Sale got scratched, but stuck to my guns. Burned me a little bit. So we're fighting an uphill battle here with our teams on Monday, but still got a couple of teams out there making a nice little run. Had a ton of Ellie De La Cruz. Obviously, he was in a great spot, and a lot of pitching did well. Feltner did well. Gavin Williams, a guy that I was on, did quite well as well. Also, so a couple live teams, but no Abbott. So it's an uphill battle for sure.
Yeah, my best team that I have going is an Abbott Diaz Texas stack. So that team's doing some work, and hopefully it can keep going here. So basically what I said on the podcast, it's Minnesota, Texas with Diaz and Abbott. And Abbott was someone that I wanted to be underweight on until the Chris Sale news came out, and it was just like, hey, I'm just gonna play this guy now. I say there's no way around it. There was obviously ways around doing it, but it didn't make a lot of sense when Chris Sale got moved to Tuesday slate, and we'll talk about him when we get there. But hey, Diaz not pitching too bad. I was watching some of that game before we got on. 3 hits, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts. I was hoping he'd get more strikeouts, but he's only at 60 pitches, and he is fully stretched out. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him keep going in that game. So Austin Riley, welcome Diaz to the bigs. And after that, he's kind of settled in. I'm surprised Bryce Elder is pitching so well. How bad are the Diamondbacks? They're kind of showing us how bad. So over here rooting for the Twins to keep our parlay for the morning grind game yesterday alive. And Texas already hit their overruns, and hopefully they can win and we can keep going with that. Hope everyone is having a fantastic Monday night over there in YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Deleted my Texas stack. Ooh, probably not going to be a good one for you tonight. All right, Keith, we got 11 games, a lot to talk about. Let's jump in and talk some baseball. We get started with Oakland at Boston, 9.5 total. The Red Sox, a 180 favorite. Joey Estes against Brian Bayo. Any interest here in Estes?
I don't think so. He's obviously coming off the outstanding performance against the Angels. A complete game for him, complete game shutout. I don't think he has quite the same amount of success going into Fenway Park here. A huge ballpark downgrade for him. I believe I will be out on Estes.
Yeah, complete game, 92 pitches. Absolutely trying to pull a Maddox out there. So, overall, I don't think I'll play Estes today. The Red Sox lineup can get very left-handed now with some of the injured guys being back in the lineup overall. So I don't think I get to Estes. He's a below-average strikeout pitcher, but he's even worse against lefties. He has a 15% K rate against lefties this year, 264 ISO, 370 WOBA, and he's a fly ball guy that definitely benefits from pitching in Oakland. We're going to talk about the Red Sox stack against Estes. I really, really like the Red Sox today, so not going to touch him in this spot. Any interest here in Bayo against Oakland?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a bit of a rough season for Bayo. Inconsistent season, I would say. He's had his moments for sure. Very nice game against Miami last time out. Saw the strikeouts show up, which has kind of been what's missing for him. He's always been able to generate ground balls. It's the command. Can he hang on to that and not walk so many people? And can he generate some strikeouts? He did that in the last game. It's a nice matchup to do that here against Oakland. So 8,000 price tag, I think is very fair for a matchup against Oakland. I'm in on Bayo.
So I watch the Red Sox a lot. They're my favorite team. I'm very biased. I've said it many, many years. I've been doing the podcast for over 8 years now, and I say it all the time. I watch this guy pitch all the time. He gets hit. Like he doesn't have like that stuff to like generate enough whiffs, right? Like we see this stuff with like big time guys, Strider, Crochet. I'm just trying to think, Skeens. Like they have that stuff. They have that next level where if they need to go out and get a strikeout, Bayo goes out and he tries to generate a ground ball to get that of an inning. And he struck out 7 against Miami, but it was Miami. It's an ownership thing for me. If he's not getting a ton of ownership today, then sure, I'll play some Bayo. But if he's going to be chalky because he's facing this terrible Oakland's lineup, I'll fade him. Not even go underweight. I'll just fade him because I think he's more likely to get like 18 than 25 in this spot because he doesn't have that stuff yet. And like he's super young, right? Like he is a pitcher that we think is going to be a guy that's going to be around for a long time. And hopefully he develops that. He needs that like really good, like complement pitch to the sinker. And like the sinker's done a good job limiting the damage. The slider is not generating enough whiffs. The changeup doesn't generate enough whiffs. So he really just kind of maybe it's something that he can throw out of the same arm slot as a sinker, like a backdoor cutter or something. He needs something like, and he'll develop it. He's young. He's talented. The Red Sox see a future with this guy. I just worry about the fact that like he doesn't make people whiff. I mean, his whiff rate is average and his strikeout rate is below average. So it's an ownership thing for me when it comes to Bayo. I think he's a good pitcher, real life pitcher. DFS wise, it's tough. There's a lot of strikeouts in this lineup for Oakland. Could he win this matchup? Yeah, of course. All right. All that to say, it'll be an ownership thing for me on Bayo. If he's chalky, I'll be fading him. If he's not popular, I'll play him because, I mean, there's 6 hitters in this lineup with strikeout rates over 25% against right-handed pitching this season. Let's talk about those Oakland bats. Any interest in the Oakland bats here?
I do have some interest. I think it's more home run hunting than it is full stacking or just picking out a couple and using a mini stack. You definitely want fly ball hitters against Bayo. He has that pretty solid ground ball ability. But I don't mind looking for some fly ball hitters to try to hit a home run with this nice ballpark upgrade for the offense. Rooker, I think, is a guy that stands out. Blade is fine. Langolier is another guy that I really like. They're cheap enough where you can, outside of Rooker, he's 5K, but everybody else is under 4K. I don't mind chasing some home runs here. Soderstrom, another guy that I played quite a bit of.
Yeah, shout out to Derek in chat because he calls Langoliers Bangoliers, and I am stealing that forever. The other day did it. I play this guy. I'm gonna get that thing at the end of the year. Who did you play the most in DFS baseball this year? And it's gonna be this guy. Like, he's my favorite catcher because he's always under 4K and he always has the ability to hit home run. So I mean, I absolutely love playing this guy. Like, I don't care that he strikes out. He can go 0 for 4. I don't care. Like, because I know that I'm going to get my home runs out of him. Like, he's on pace to hit like over 35 home runs, and he plays half of his games in Oakland. Like, this is a guy when we get him on the road, like, have to like this guy. So I like him a lot. I like your Roker call. Soderstrom is another guy. Blade, like, it's one-off power hunting. Unless Bayo just gets really steamed throughout the day as far as like projected ownership, and then like he's not a dominant guy. He's a good pitcher. He's just not a dominant guy. So I could see myself, taking advantage of a couple of these fly ball hitters because I mean he is a ground ball guy. So like a guy like Roker, Blade, they do hit the ball up in the air. They just play in a terrible ballpark. So yeah, I mean I don't hate Oakland. Love Boston today though. I think this is a fantastic spot for them going up against Estes. Like I said, he really struggles with lefty. David Hamilton's back. Duran has been hitting the ball all year. Yoshida's back, and while he doesn't offer a ton of upside as far as power, he's a guy that's excellent contact skills. Abreu has been hitting the ball hard this year. Like, I think Boston is a stack you definitely want to get some exposure to here on this slate.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the best stacks on the slate. A fly ball pitcher in Fenway Park is definitely worth attacking. This Boston offense has been pretty good. Devers is one of the top plays on the slate. Love the Hamilton call, guy that I've been playing quite a bit of. I don't know if the power is real. he's never been a power guy. He's always been a speed guy. But if he has power upside now to go with that speed, then I'm definitely in for that. I'm good with Yoshida as well, especially while he's still cheap. We want him to hit for a little bit more power, but if he's going to be this cheap, certainly makes plenty of sense in a stack. Abreu's been great as well. So I'm with you. Boston, one of the best stacks on the slate.
I gotta look this up. Chat's saying that in French, Langoliers means undefeated. I gotta look that up. I'm not gonna put Chat on blast, but I gotta look that up because I
think that's a callback to Crunch Time. Cheese and everybody always pronounces it Langolier.
Oh, okay. Well, I pronounce home run by saying Langolier, so there you go. Colorado at Cincinnati, 8.5 total in this game. The Reds a 160 favorite. Cal Quantrill, Frankie Montas facing off in Cincinnati. Gotta love this one. Cal Quantrill, 6,500. I know, like, we've seen a blast from the past when it comes to Cal Quantrill, where he's had some games over 20 this season. I think he had a game over like 30. Any interest here in Quantrill against the Reds?
I don't think so. It's just too tough of a park here. The Reds' offense is talented. They certainly have their moments where they'll strike out plenty, but I don't know if I'm buying what Quantrill has done. It's kind of been a back and forth thing for me all season. He had a really nice stretch, then he struggled a little bit, and then he had a decent start there against the White Sox. Struggled last time against Milwaukee. The walk showed up and the strikeouts disappeared. So I don't know. It's too big of a slate. I don't think I need to mess with it here as he goes into Great American Ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing it. Listen, I'll play just about any pitcher against the Rockies, but I just don't know if Frankie Montas makes the cut for me. I mean, he is like, I talked about like how Abbott is a below average strikeout pitcher on the podcast yesterday. This dude is a 18.5% strikeout guy. Like he's just not a good guy. Like he's just not a good strikeout pitcher. I think they're going to have enough lefties in this lineup today to make me not want to play Montas. Am I crazy for fading a pitcher against the Rockies under 8K?
He's cheap. That's the thing. He's been over 90 pitches.
Them in course too.
Yeah. Over 90 pitches. The leash is there. I kind of like Montas. And I don't ever say that. I hate playing this guy. But the Rockies might be the matchup to do it against. I don't know if he's getting owner. Like I faded Abbott against him, so I'm certainly not opposed to the fade if he's going to get ownership. I don't think he will. There's a pitcher returning that's underpriced in this range. I don't think Montas is going to have ownership today, and I think that there's upside here when he generally doesn't have upside, just because the Rockies strike out so much, and even more so on the road. I think you have to have a little bit of interest in Montas at 7,500 if he's unowned. If he's getting 20% ownership on an 11-game slate, then certainly you can fade him. But as long as he's in that like 10 to 15% range, I think he's in play.
All right, Rockies bats. Any interest here in the Colorado bats?
Home run park. You can certainly chase the lefties here for home runs. I think Ryan McMahon has had a great season. Nolan Jones has not, but I'm still willing to play that power. Anytime. He's at 4,200. I think that's a very fair price for his power profile. Blackman is there at 4,100. Not as exciting of a play, but it's a nice matchup for him. The lineup falls off in a hurry. It's part of the reason that I have slight interest in Montas. So I don't think it's a full stack for me. And I do prefer them against lefties as well. So I don't mind chasing a few lefties. You can play some Tovar and some Doyle because they have some speed as well. But I don't think it's a full stack for me. Probably just looking for a home run or two off Montas.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Nolan Jones and Ryan McMahon in this spot. Like the price tags of those guys as well. So I don't know if I get to a third person in this lineup. Overall, like I really like those two guys. I've had very terrible luck playing Jake Cave. If I was going to play Jake Cave against a guy, it'd be a low strikeout guy that struggles with lefties. And I mean, Montas fits that build 100%. So maybe throw Blackman in there. Like Colorado's cheap. They're back on the road, so they're cheap again. They're not overly expensive. Yeah, Taglia I think is okay. I think it'd be a 3-man. Like I really think like a Rockies 3-man is playable today, and it's building around McMahon and it's building around Nolan Jones and kind of going from there and seeing how it works out. But like those are, I mean, McMahon is one of the top third baseman plays on the slate today. You know, Devers, McMahon, two guys right off the bat that we get to talk about here. We'll talk about like Miranda. Those are the guys that I've highlighted at third base today. So Cincinnati, we should mention that Cincinnati called up Hines on Monday. He didn't waste any time. He had a double and then hit a towering home run. It was, I don't know if you saw it or not, but it was monster home run, monster bat flip, and welcome to the Bigs 2K home run. What are we liking here for the Reds?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be interested because of the ballpark. Quantrill is not an overpowering strikeout guy by any means. You just got to keep playing Ellie De La Cruz. He's going to steal every time he gets on base. 2 more steals for him on Monday night. Dude,
he tried to steal home, didn't he? Like,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he tried to steal home at some point and got thrown out. Like I didn't see it, but I was looking at the box score and I saw that there was a caught stealing home is what it said. So
nice,
solid stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like if he's on first base, he's trying to steal second, and then he's trying to steal third. Like it's just incredible, and nobody can throw him out. So why wouldn't he? Just keep playing that guy. Candelario is somebody I always like against lefties. Marte is still cheap enough. Love the Hines call out. A talented young hitter, has a little bit of power, a little bit of speed, can get it done in multiple ways. Fits the Reds' whole like team very well. Like just an athletic freak who's got power and speed, has all the tools. The Reds are a very toolsy team, so he fits in well with that. But yeah, Will Benson, somebody I always like to play, especially in low strikeout matchups. So don't mind chasing that. Stevenson at catcher would be fine, but the Reds are a top stack for me.
Yeah, I like the Reds a lot. And Hines, like everything I had read about him was next year. Like he wasn't a prospect that I had on my list to like pay attention to and some like season-long stuff that I do. But yeah, I mean the Reds are hurting, so why not give him a chance? Big arm too. Like I think they had him playing right field today. So 2K. I mean, you probably don't play him at shortstop much, but I'm sure he gets into builds at third base. I mean, two of the better like environments on the slate right off the bat, right? We get fly ball pitcher against the Red Sox, and then we get these two guys that don't miss a lot of bats facing off against each other in Cincinnati. So glad you guys liked us talking about some bats because it might be a while again. We go to Washington at New York Mets, 8.5 total in this game. The Mets are 126 favorite. Jake Irvin going up against Jose Quintana. Any interest here in Jake Irvin?
He's 9,100. He has had a heck of a season. Like Jake Irvin's been phenomenal this year. He just dominated this Mets team. 8 strikeouts and 8 shutout innings. I don't think I'm chasing that performance. Congratulations to him. He's had a great season. But 9,100 for Jake Irvin against a red hot Mets team, I'm not chasing that he can do it in back-to-back starts.
Yeah, I mean, congrats on pitching really well last time out. And like, okay, if Jake Irvin was 7K here, sure. He's so expensive. I feel like that is one of my, I mean, I love the ballpark. Don't get me wrong. I love the ballpark here for Jake Irvin. And I really do like some of the statistics that I've seen and like trends for him. So like it's more of just paying 9K for him than anything else. Is the problem with me. Like I won't stack against Jake Irvin in this spot by any means, but like his stuff is trending in the right direction. He's generating a little bit more spin and he's, generating more strikeouts. Like he just faced this team too. Like, and absolutely dominated them last time out. Like, my biggest concern is everybody's biggest concern. It's facing the same team, back-to-back starts. It's the price tag. The ballpark's great. I mean, that's not the problem here. Again, everything's trending in the right direction for Jake Irvin. But I don't know, man. It's a price thing, and if he was facing a different team, I think we would potentially talk a little bit more about this. But with him facing the same team back-to-back starts, price is the highest probably it's ever been in his entire career.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't do it. Like, kudos to him. He's been pitching great. If it was a different spot, I think I'd pull the trigger. I probably don't stack against him though. We'll talk about that when we get to the bats. Jose Quintana on the other side of this game. I mean, Quintana is probably a guy at 6,900 that you could feel somewhat okay with playing to get you 15 to 20 points, but I don't think that's enough on this slate. Like, he's just going to go out. He's going to generate ground balls. Washington's going to hit a lot of ground balls in this game. And if BABIP's on his side, he could probably put up like 15 to 18 points here. I don't think I play him today, but I don't necessarily have any like negative things to say as far as like he's a low strikeout pitcher against a low strikeout offense.
Yeah, I think you nailed it right there. Just not enough upside here. It's a fine price. He probably survives at least 6 innings in this spot. But what's the strikeout upside? It's exactly what you just said. A low strikeout pitcher and a low strikeout matchup probably leads to low strikeouts. So I won't be chasing Quintana. I almost always target strikeout upside when I'm targeting DFS pitchers. So Quintana is not of that mold. I won't play him today.
Not to get completely sidetracked, but I did the Scott Fish Bowl this weekend, so I've been doing some best balls. Man, I could already tell you Drake London is going to be a guy that I'm just going to play way too much of in DFS this year. I already see it in my trends. So not to get sidetracked, but any interest in the Washington bats in this one?
No, not really. It's a really tough ballpark. Quintana is a guy who will limit hard contact, keep the ball on the ground, and generally limits the ability for other teams to put up big rallies. So Washington, not the most talented offense in the world. I don't think I need to play him here.
Yeah, I mean, some speed upside maybe, but I mean, Lane Thomas is great against lefties. Like, he's probably a guy if you're playing like 20 plus teams, you leave in your player pool as like a one-off potential play. And if he gets in there, great. If he doesn't, it is what it is. But I think Lane Thomas is someone you leave in your player pool today. Whether or not you want to set like a minimum like exposure to him and like actually get some ownership to him or not. But like, he's a guy that I would definitely leave in my player pool. He's expensive at 5,600, so I don't know how much you'd actually get to him. Any interest in the Mets bats on the other side?
I don't think I'm stacking. Irvin's been phenomenal this season. Gets a nice ballpark upgrade here. So the Mets are a good offense. They've been hot for a solid month here. They've been one of the better offenses in the league. I don't think I'm chasing it. One-offs would be fine. If it's not the best park to chase home runs in, though, is the only other thing. So not a ton of interest. Alonso is fine. Martinez is fine. Vientos is fine. Alvarez at catcher would be fine, but I don't think I'm stacking Mets.
You really want to attack Irvin with like lefty power bats, and that's kind of why he pitched so well against them last time out. They're just very right-handed. I mean, Lindor, Nimmo would be my two favorites here. Pete Alonso and Vientos have been great. It's in Citi Field too, so I just don't know how much I get to the Mets today. Kansas City at St. Louis. Like, if Jake Irvin, really quick, going back to like Monday's slate, like if Jake Irvin was on Monday's slate in the same spot, I'd probably play him.
Yeah, agreed.
But we have some stellar pitching options coming up. Like, we can kind of be picky today. Kansas City at St. Louis, 8 total. Basically a pick'em game. St. Louis is a small favorite. We got Waka and Palente. Man, I can't speak. Any interest here in Waka?
Oh, I don't know what to do with this guy. The price is a little bit tempting. He's been really solid this season. Has had a nice year for the Royals. I don't really know what the Cardinals' offense is still, even though we're halfway through the season. Looked like they were going to be elite for a while. They've kind of fallen back a little bit. I don't hate this matchup for Waka. At 7,700, if I'm looking for a pivot in this range, because there's certainly a guy here that has more upside, I think. But Waka, he could go out and pitch 6 or 7 clean innings, and I don't think I'd be surprised with 6 or 7 strikeouts. Is that enough? Maybe. It depends on ownership. If he's unowned, I might take some shots on him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much like the foot injury was a thing or not, but ever since he's come back, his strikeout rate has been really solid. It's only 3 outings, and one of those starts was against Tampa. But I mean, you look at Cleveland striking out 6 against Cleveland is a fantastic kind of number that he put up there. So, yeah, I mean, Waka is definitely on my list today. Again, like you said, St. Louis, they're hot or cold. There's no in between with this team right now. They have good games, they have bad games. Are you going to catch them on a good or bad day? I mean, so I think Waka with his strikeouts trending in the right direction, and there's plenty of strikeouts in this lineup overall. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind Waka under 8K in this spot. Palante on the other side, I mean, he's another guy that's been okay. He hasn't necessarily been great. He's 7,600. I think if I was going to be in this range, I would just like go to Waka on the other side of this game. But I don't think he's like the highest ceiling guy, so I'll probably pass on him today.
Yeah, I definitely prefer Waka amongst these two. He's a ground ball guy. He's going to pitch to ground balls more than he's going to pitch for strikeouts. Kansas City, not a team that strikes out a lot. And I respect the talent in the Kansas City offense as well. So no Palante for me.
Yeah, dude has been dominating lefties since he got the start and got the call back up here. And like he has a 45 ISO and a 75% ground ball rate against lefties. You want power righties against Palante. And hey, they have a couple of those guys. I don't think it's a stack spot, but if you want to one off like a Bobby Witt or Salvador Perez, I think this is a slate where like Bobby Witt probably goes a little underowned, which is always great.
Yeah, I love that call. Like we just saw it from LA De La Cruz. Like these guys that have as much power and speed as players like that do have so many ways to score fantasy points. Like you just have to play some of them. If he's going to be unowned in this spot, even though he's 6,500, I have interest in finding some exposure there. I don't have a ton of interest in the rest of the lineup. Like you said, Palante is a great ground ball guy, which limits the upside here. He can get out of jams with ground ball double plays, has a little strikeout upside. So I don't think I'll be stacking Royals here. Maybe just chasing home runs. Perez, another guy you can always chase a home run with. Renfroe has the power that I wouldn't hate that. But no stacks for me on Gacy.
Any interest here in the Cardinals bets?
Not particularly. Like I just don't love the pricing here. Gorman is the guy who's kind of jumping off the page at 4,100. Goldschmidt is up to 4,500. Hasn't been a great season there. Burleson's been okay at 4,300. Donovan at 4K. I'm just not all that interested in picking on Waka. He's a good enough pitcher that I think I can avoid it on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stacker fade. Like, again, St. Louis has been really good or really bad. So, like, if you get a day where they're just hitting the ball really well, sure. I mean, this game's in St. Louis. It's probably going to be good hitting conditions as far as, like, heat and stuff. So, I think it's a stacker fade spot for me on St. Louis. They're not as cheap as they were, and we could, like, one-off and three-man them. So, I think it's just a 5-man or nothing for me on St. Louis.
Derek pointed out in chat that St. Louis just got Nootbaar back. He's 3,500. I had to check that price because if he's cheap, I have interest, and he's cheap enough. I don't hate that call at all.
There you go. All right, we're cruising along here. We have Minnesota at Chicago taking on the White Sox. 8 total in this game. Minnesota 150 favorite. Bailey Ober against Eric Fetty. Any interest here in Ober?
Tons of interest in Bailey Ober, another guy who's been really good this season. It's a matchup against the White Sox. We've been picking on the White Sox all season long. Ober's been on quite the run, at least 8 strikeouts in each of his last 4 starts. Now, they've been extremely easy matchups, but guess what? He gets a 5th straight one here against the White Sox. 8 strikeouts against Detroit, 9 strikeouts against Seattle, 10 against Oakland, and 8 against Oakland. Let's make it 5 in a row for 8 strikeouts for Bailey Over. Love this spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic spot. I love this spot today for him. So yeah, he's one of the top pitchers on the slate for me. We did in chat. Someone's saying Lodolo is the pitcher, and I just checked, and he actually is the listed pitcher. He'll be coming back off the IL. Yeah, I'm surprised they are not sending him for like some rehab starts before the All-Star break, but I don't know what to expect pitch count wise for Lodolo. Like it would be, I think we'd have to get some information. He didn't miss a ton of time, and it was like a finger injury for him. If Lodolo throws 80 plus pitches, can we play Lodolo at 8,800 against the Rockies?
Yes, we just played. Well, I didn't play Andrew Abbott, but I should have played Andrew Abbott. Lodolo's a better pitcher than Andrew Abbott. Last start was June 23rd.
Yeah, the finger issue.
2 weeks.
I think it was a blister.
That's a little scary because blisters can pop up again, but I don't think they would rush him. Like you said, the All-Star break is right around the corner, and he's going to be good to go after the All-Star break. So why rush him if he's not like completely, if there's no concern whatsoever? Obviously, with a blister, you can't really throw baseballs. So I do have some leash concerns as well. Like, what if we're only getting 65 pitches here? Maybe we have to sit it out. But man, it's a phenomenal matchup. Hopefully, we hear something on the leash because I have a ton of interest if he's out there for 80 plus pitches.
It'd make me like the Rockies bats none.
Way less.
Like I talked about liking some of those guys, and I wanted to just touch on that. But I will say this: as a former pitcher, he did some live BP last Wednesday, so he probably threw a bullpen Sunday, somewhere in that. So like, I wouldn't be shocked if he throws 80 pitches here, but we'll definitely see where this leads if we get any kind of information. But I confirm with like MLB, the MLB website to see if that was right. So shout out J10 pointing that out. Not to overshadow Eric Fetty going up against Minnesota. Any interest here in Eric Fetty?
I have played a lot of Fetty this season. I don't think this is the spot. Minnesota has just been an incredible offense here, really all season long. I looked this up because I wrote up in my Stacks article on Monday. I wrote about them. They're fourth in WRC Plus and WOBA for the season. Over the last 30 days, they've been the best offense in baseball. I don't think I need to try to pick on at least the hottest offense. Maybe they're not the best offense in baseball, but they're top 5 at this point. They've proven it all season long. So I like Eric Fetty as a pitcher. There are spots to play him. I don't think this is one.
Yeah, I mean, his strikeouts have dipped a lot, and we knew that was going to kind of happen. He wasn't going to stick up, what was he, like 23, 24%? They've dropped off. Minnesota's a scary team against right-handed pitching. Like, they are phenomenal. So I think overall, I think you want to stay away from Fetty at 8,500. We have a lot of pitching. Like Ober on the other side, hands down, way better option here. And like, I think I'd take risk on like Lodolo instead of Fetty, even with the pitch concerns. I just hate this spot. This team's really good. Brooks Lee, ever since he got called up, he's hitting. Wallner's back, which adds some power to this lineup as well. This team's going to be scary if they can make a run. I'm really sad that I didn't bet Minnesota to like make a deep playoff run or something. Because now like the odds have moved so much, but when they started to like trend in the right direction, I should have jumped on it. But anyway, Minnesota bats. I like the Twins. I'm going to keep playing the Twins. Carlos Correa has been smoking hot. Jose Miranda has been fantastic. Hopefully they can pull out this game in the top of the 11th against the White Sox. What are your thoughts here on the Twins?
Yeah, I like him a lot as well. I respect Fetty as a pitcher, but he's not somebody that we need to be scared of with an elite offense like Minnesota. Love the 2 cheap lefties that you called out, Brooks Lee and Matt Wallner. Those 2 guys are talented. Lee is just one of the better prospects in the game. Wallner is a great power prospect, so they're both underpriced for their talent level. Kepler is a guy I like to play a lot at 4,300. Buxton has been much better recently, 4,600. The price is starting to come up, but we know he's one of the best fantasy players in the game when he's going right, and things have gone right for him here recently. Miranda's been red hot as well. This offense is just absolutely loaded. The one thing you do kind of have to worry about is like the pinch hit risk. Larnach and Wallner are probably the two guys that have the most pinch hit risk, I would say. But I mean, if you get the home run in one of the first 2 or 3 at bats, it really doesn't matter if they get lifted for that fourth one. So that doesn't bother me as much as it bothers some other people.
Yeah, Buxton had another multiple hit game, and he's up right now. He needs to make it he needs to have a 3-hit game. He did just get a 3-hit game, nice. But it was a single, and now they have first and third with no outs in the top of the 11th. I really need Minnesota to win this game. What are we doing? Yeah, Diaz. We'll talk. Diaz had a really good debut against Atlanta. Shout out to him. All right, we're not playing White Sox bats against Ober, are we?
No, none for me.
Yeah, I'm not either. We have good pitching and good hitting. This is a fun slate. I already like this slate way too much. I hate when I do that. All right, we got Miami at Houston, 8.5 total in this game. Houston a 225 favorite. Trevor Rogers against Blanco. We should note that Yordan Alvarez was not in the lineup on Sunday, and they said that his knee was really sore, which is not a good sign for Houston, who is already without Tucker. Any interest here in Rogers?
Nope. Even if Yordan's not in there, it's a nope for me.
Doesn't matter. Nope. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, listen, at one point, there was times that I would play Trevor Rogers. That's gone. He has been struggling big time this year. He's done a good job recently, limiting damage. I don't think he's allowed more than 2 earned runs in 5 straight starts, but low strikeout matchup against Houston, a guy that has a below average strikeout rate this season. Shout out to him for pitching better, but yeah, I mean, no chance I'm playing him in this spot. Blanco's 10K. Blanco 10K is a sticker shock price. I wasn't expecting that to be that high. I don't think it matters to me, though, Keith. I mean, this is a guy that's going to go out and throw 95-plus pitches. He gets one of the best matchups on the slate against Miami. I really don't think the price matters that much to me. I think I'm going to play him in this spot.
I certainly understand it. I mean, it's a matchup against Miami. They're one of the worst offenses in baseball. I think I'm a little more price sensitive than you, just because the strikeouts have fallen off a little bit. If he was still striking out a ton of guys, I'd be more apt to pay 10K for him in this matchup.
Yeah, but look at his last 3 spots.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And before that, he had 8 strikeouts against Detroit. So this is definitely a matchup more similar to Detroit than it is to Baltimore or the Mets or even Toronto. So that is a fair point. I still have some concerns on the strikeout upside here against Miami. They make enough contact. It's very soft contact, and there's no power threats in the lineup. But I think they can make some contact here to where he has trouble paying off that 10K price tag.
Yeah, but he gets the pitches. He gets the pitch opportunity, pitch count wise. He's a guy that averages 95 pitches per start. So he's getting the pitch count that we want to pay off 10K. And I mean, the matchup's just phenomenal. So I get the hesitation. I don't disagree. I mean, Chris Sale's on the slate. Max Scherzer's on the slate going up against LA. I hear you, and I hear the potential. But I mean,
I will fully admit that I'm a sucker for strikeouts, and I probably don't credit guys enough who can go deep into a game and limit run prevention, because we do still get points for innings pitched or outs, however you want to calculate it. And I do think that there's a very good chance he could go 7 shutout innings in this one. So that does contribute to his upside for sure.
And I think the win is in line for him too. I mean, the win probability here, I mean, Houston's a 225 favorite for a reason in this spot. Rogers has been awful. So,
yep.
Miami bats, I got nothing. Jazz, sure, you can always make an argument to play Jazz, but even Jazz this year, I mean, he's been running more lately and getting stolen bases more lately, but there was a time where he had 1 stolen base over a 15-20 game period. He has been running more recently, which we play Jazz because he can run and he has home run upside. So the fact that he's starting to run again, it makes me more interested in playing him. But there's nobody else from Miami I'll play here.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's not a good lineup, so I certainly understand your interest in Blanco. Jazz is the only guy. Maybe Jesus Sanchez, another guy I would throw in there just because he's cheap enough. But like, yeah, it's not a good offense. Jazz is really the only one.
Can we just close our eyes and stack Houston today? Like the lineup is just awful. Like this lineup is the names on this lineup. Like it's going to be bad especially if Jordan sits and like it's a lefty matchup. It's a perfect opportunity for them to give him an extra day, and it's Miami, so they definitely can give him an extra day. Like it's not going to be sexy clicking these Houston names, but I think like you're going to be putting in 15-20% stacks of Houston on the slate, if not more.
Yeah, I certainly will, because if Jordan sits, the stack is really cheap outside of Altuve. Even Bregman is 4,200. Like there's nobody over 4,300 if outside of Altuve if Jordan sits. And I'm willing to play these cheap guys. Jake Myers, the guy I've played a ton this season. McCormick, I know he's had a really rough season, but he has 3 or 4 years in his career of just elite production against lefties. I'm still expecting him to hit against lefties eventually. He's 3K. Pena is 4K. It has, 4K has much more power against lefties. So I like this Houston stack a ton. If Jordan's in there, I have no problem playing him lefty. But if he's out of there, it just makes the stack that much cheaper.
All right, cruising along. We got Pittsburgh at Milwaukee, 8.5 total in this game. Milwaukee a 164 favorite. Quinn Priester coming back from the IL, going up against Colin Ray. Priester did make a rehab outing, which is always good to see. I don't think it matters too much, though. I don't want to play a guy like Priester who has not proven to be a strikeout pitcher yet. And I always say yet because he's young, but 13.8% strikeout rate, ground ball pitcher, Milwaukee. No chance I'm playing a guy that can't miss bats against this team.
Yeah, nor am I. He's really cheap, but he just doesn't have enough fastball to get major league hitters out. Maybe he develops some great breaking stuff and turns into a decent guy. He's definitely not that yet, though. I strongly prefer the Milwaukee bats against him.
Yeah, 40 to 50% sinkers and trying to generate ground balls. I mean, there's been guys that do it. Look at Chris Flexen still doing his thing. He's flexing on everybody. Colin Ray has been like one of the biggest shocks this season, I think, for anybody. Like he just keeps putting out good performances. He's 8-2. Like I didn't see this coming. I don't think anyone really saw this coming. Any interest here against Pittsburgh?
Initial reaction is no, but you're right. He has had a really good season. 7,400, I think, is a fair price tag for the matchup. Not a big strikeout guy. And again, do I think he can go 6 shutout innings here? Yeah, I do. It probably comes with 4 or 5 strikeouts instead of 7 or 8, though, is my only issue. He's cheap enough where that might be enough, though. I don't hate the matchup against Pittsburgh. I don't hate the price tag. I probably leave him in the pool, but he's not going to be somebody that I'm like seeking out. It would be if I just can't get up to that high 7K range where I think there's plenty of upside, and I have to settle for 7,400 with a couple bats that I love. I'd be fine with it, but I'm not enthused about it.
I am perfectly fine, like looking at ownership on Bayu, Waka, Ray in this range, and just saying, all right, who's going to be the lower owned, and I'll have more exposure to that person more than anything else. Because I mean, I think all 3 of these guys are okay plays today.
Great call.
Ray, I mean, he just keeps doing it, and like, I mean, at this point, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and numbers definitely suggest there's a lot of regression coming. But that's always, you're always going to see regression numbers being massive when you have a guy that's like generating 7% swinging strikes. Like when you have a guy that generates swinging strikes at this amount and not miss bats, like it's just that. So I will say, like recently, I don't know, I haven't looked into a lot of Colin Ray stuff, but his whiff rate is through the roof against righties compared to his season numbers here over the last month. So I don't know if that's more of like facing the Cubs and the Rockies and the Reds, but I mean that probably has a little bit to do with it.
Yeah,
Not saying
definitely.
the Pirates are much better. Any interest in the Pirates bats in this one?
I don't hate some shots here. Probably more of a mini stack because I don't think they're all that talented of an offense. So on a massive slate, I don't know if they have enough upside to win me the slate. So more of a mini 3-man than a full stack here. Reynolds is certainly a guy you can play. And then it gets dicey from there. Sawinski's a guy I chase power from all the time. Nick Gonzalez is had a decent season. There's just not a ton of talent in this lineup, so it's not a full stack for me. But I don't hate centering some pieces around Brian Reynolds. If I knew O'Neal Cruz was healthy, he would certainly be my second favorite target. But he did leave the game Monday night, so we'll see if he's in there.
Hamstring too.
Yeah,
which
not good.
Would that if O'Neal Cruz is out of lineup too, that's a big bump to Ray because O'Neal Cruz is definitely one of those lefties that can give Ray trouble. I really like Reynolds. I really like O'Neal Cruz if he plays. Hamstring tightness, though, really worries me, even if I did want to play him here at 5K, because, like, you want 4 or 5 at-bats from a 5K hitter. Like, we talked about those cheap guys that, like, are 32, 3,500. Doing it in, like, 3 at-bats, fine, but, like, you want all of your at-bats when you're paying this much for somebody. So, over the next few days, if O'Neal Cruz doesn't go on the IL and like is back in the lineup, I'll be very, very hesitant to play him because I mean, up or down in a game in the 7th, you could potentially get a defensive replacement to give them a little bit of a break. So, Milwaukee, I like Milwaukee here. Good ballpark. Priester is a guy that gives up a lot of contact, and when you have a team with this much speed, you get a pitcher that gives up contact, like. All it takes is a couple singles. We talk about home runs all the time, but we always talk about like Milwaukee's speed. So absolutely love the Brewers today. They're another team that I'm going to make sure I get plenty of stacks of.
Yeah, totally with you. Priester doesn't miss any bats. Milwaukee has enough power to go with that speed as well. I will full stack him. Garrett Mitchell is a guy we talked about last week on the podcast when he was first coming back. It hasn't been the softest landing for him. He's struggled a little bit out of the gate, but he's a better player than his 3,300 price tag, a guy that I really like for the price here. Obviously, Yelich, Contreras, Terang for the speed upside. The Damas are the top guys here, but I don't mind getting some of these cheap guys in there, like Garrett Mitchell. If Frelick is in there, he's a guy I like to play. So yeah, I'm with you. Anybody in the lineup, I'm interested in against Priester, who just doesn't miss bats.
Hey, Wyatt Langford with another bomb. Dude, Wyatt Langford is starting to reel in Luis Gil. He's reeling him in for that AL Rookie of the Year. Watch out. He's hot and he's healthy.
Somebody has a ticket from the preseason on him to win that Rookie of the Year, I think.
I do.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying.
Oh, okay. I was like, I'm this dude's biggest fan. Like, I'm gonna get a Wyatt Langford bobblehead to go next to my Jacob deGrom. Gotta love the Florida guys. All right, Texas at LA taking on the Angels. 8.5. Scherzer, Contreras. Max Scherzer threw 90 pitches last time out. I think that's all we kind of needed to see. It was him kind of eclipse that 90 pitch mark. He's really not had like dominant strikeout stuff. But he really hasn't had a good strikeout matchup yet. He got San Diego, he got Baltimore, and Kansas City. He struck out Kansas City, but he only got 57 pitches. Wyatt Langford. Now he's on the brain. Max Scherzer getting a matchup with the Angels, knowing that we're going to get 90-plus pitches, and him finally getting a matchup where he can kind of miss some bats and show some upside. 9,300 is a really good price tag for Max Scherzer today.
Yeah, you have to be interested given the pitch. The leash is growing. We know when Max is fully stretched out, he has one of the best leashes in baseball. The strikeouts are a concern, but you make a great point with the recent matchups. This is a fantastic matchup against the Angels. Looking at this stuff, like he's living just below 93 right now with the fastball. That's kind of what he's been just over 93 the last 2 seasons. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong page here. He's 92.5 with the fastball. He's been more 94 over the last couple of seasons. Is that a little bit concerning? Maybe, but I think he's just ramping up and being cautious. I have concerns that the strikeouts aren't going to come all the way back. He's just at that age where the stuff starts to fall off. But we kind of thought that for Verlander for several years before it finally did here recently. Is Max washed, and is he going to be a 19% strikeout pitcher? I don't think so. I think he's still got a little bit more in the tank than that. He's not going to be the 30% guy he was in the prime of his career, obviously. But I certainly think something like the 28% that we saw from him last year is still in play here. If I knew I was getting a 28% strikeout rate, Max Scherzer against the Angels at 9,300 with potential for 95 plus pitches, I mean, that's a phenomenal play. So I'm going to chase that and just hope that's the outcome that we get here. The velocity is a little concerning, but the matchup kind of outweighs that for me, and we're getting a little bit of a discount as well.
Yeah, I mean, Ward, was it Sunday he crashed into the wall at Wrigley, or Saturday or something, and he was out of the lineup on Monday. I know Rendon came back, but I mean, he was out for months. So the Angels lineup is still very, very, very weak. Contreras against Texas, any interest here?
No. He just this was a guy where I liked the stuff and the way it profiled. Back when Pittsburgh acquired him, I thought it was a great trade for them. Just never worked out. He hasn't been able to throw strikes is the biggest thing. And the strikeout stuff never quite fully clicked either. So he's really cheap. The Texas offense is heating up again too, which is a little bit concerning. I think I'm out on him, even though he's cheap.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not going to – I don't feel like he's going to pitch deep enough either. I mean, I don't expect him – I will say, like, Davis got shelled. He's not good. I keep telling you all he's not good. Hopefully you didn't play him today and you stack Texas because Davis isn't good. But the Angels are going to eat up the bullpen. They didn't have Monday off. I mean, they're already on pitcher 3. Fulmer got him a little bit, but again, like Marte, I think Marte started this inning and they're hitting him pretty hard here. So they're going to get to 4 or 5 pitchers likely by the end of this game. And, you know, they played over the weekend. They really haven't had that break. So, yeah, not playing Contreras, and I'm going right back to the well on Texas here today. Like, Texas is starting to hit the ball. Corey Seager was one of my favorite hitters on the slate yesterday. Started the game off with a nice little home run, which is always great to get that out of the first inning. What are your thoughts here on the Texas bats?
Yeah, I love Texas. I mentioned Contreras' control problems. That's going to put traffic on the bases, and Texas is loaded with power. So that screams multi-run home runs, and that's what we're looking for in DFS. Yeah, stack them up 1 through 9. Whoever's in the lineup. Langford is 3,900 tomorrow. That's a fantastic price. As much
keep them coming, baby.
As good as that guy has been. Yeah. Josh Smith has been great all season. His price tag really hasn't moved all season either. He's been right in that 4K range, like that price tag. So obviously Seager and Simeon and Garcia are fantastic, but I really like the pricing on Texas too, outside of just their overall upside.
I think Langford was my under 4K guy to get 2 hits today. Gosh, guy just makes me look so smart. I don't even know if he has 2 hits today, but he had home runs, so that counts. Yeah, he does have. Look, he has 2 hits. Oh, gosh, man. Angels bats against Scherzer.
No, I mean, maybe you could chase a home run if you want to. Definitely no stacks for me. But who do you chase home runs with on this team?
I was going to ask you. Like, Hoppy maybe, but 4,500 for a catcher. Hey, you could chase a home run with Kevin Pillar at 4,600. There you go. Gosh, what are we doing?
Yeah, no thanks on Angels for me.
Maybe Joe Adell. Like, Joe Adell is always the answer. I like him way more against lefties, though. But
here has some power. Like, I don't hate that, but it's not comfortable.
What are we doing? Atlanta at Arizona, 7.5 total here. Atlanta at 130 favorite. Chris Sale, Zach Gallen facing off against each other. Sale got moved back a day, and my thoughts haven't changed. I think he is the top pitcher on the slate, and it's not particularly close. The guy has been consistent. He's getting 100 pitches a start, if not more. and he just continues to strike out everybody. Arizona is a team that's scary against left-handed pitching. Doesn't matter. Chris Sale, top guy for me. Same thoughts I had on Monday. Not changing my thoughts here.
Yeah, I agree with you. The one thing I will say is Monday's pitching slate was far, far weaker than this pitching slate. So, that being said, I intended to lock Chris Sale into 150 lineups on Monday night and had to completely redo everything when he got scratched midday. So I definitely like the spot for him. Arizona makes a lot of contact, and they're good against lefties, as you alluded to. So it's not the highest of upside spots for Chris Sale. But when we're talking about pitchers on this elite level, that doesn't really matter for me. Like, it would surprise no one if Chris Sale came out here and struck out 10 Diamondbacks. So for that reason, you just load him up. But I think 10-4 is a very reasonable price tag for a guy that can strike out 10. So I'm in. It won't be a lock play like it was on Monday night just because of slate context. But yeah, fantastic play.
What are we doing with Zach Gallen on the other side of this game here?
I'm going to be playing him. I think there's some strikeouts in this Atlanta lineup. I think Zach Gallen, when he's right, is a very good starting pitcher with very good strikeout upside. He has been up and down this season. He's been in and out of the rotation. Has had a little trouble staying healthy. I will also note, I don't pay a ton of attention to home road splits, but I think they have to matter, right? Especially when you're much better at home. Like, you have that comfort with your routine, your home mound you're used to. Like, pitching mounds are very different from ballpark to ballpark. The fact that his home splits are so much better, I think Britt is the one that always writes it up on Scores and Odds when Gallen's pitching at home. He always talks about his home road splits. And I think they're real with Zach Gallen. And I'm not, I say that as a guy who doesn't necessarily believe in home run splits all the time, but he's at home. It's an Atlanta offense that is not as daunting as we thought they were going to be with their injuries and their strikeouts in the lineup. If Gallen was 9,800 here, I probably don't take shots on him. But at 8,900, I think he has the price. Like, the pitch count is climbing. He should be back up into that 95 range in the start. And I think he has upside for 8 or 9 strikeouts. So at 8,900, I'm in.
Can I debunk the home road splits for Zach Gallen really quick?
Sure.
Just because it's fun, because you said Brett, and anytime you say Brett, I'm going to obviously. He's faced Oakland, Miami, Detroit, Colorado, St. Louis, and New York Yankees at home this year.
But this is going back a couple years. Talking about.
I know, but I'm just saying this point. Year.
The matchups, and that's why I don't trust home road splits, is because you have to dig so deep into them, because there are there's context like that absolutely matters. Like, just his last 3, Oakland, Miami, Detroit, are like the 3 easiest matchups in baseball.
Yep. And he faced the Dodgers, the Orioles, the Reds, San Francisco, in Coors, and Seattle, on the road this year. So his best game on the road came against the Rockies in Coors, which I'm shocked. But he dominated Cincinnati on the road before he got hurt too. So, I mean, I think Zach Gallen, we could all just kind of agree that he's a good pitcher, and that if he's going to pitch better at home, sure. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, if I'm going to play Diaz against the Braves, I'm going to definitely take some shots on Zach Gallen. When Zach Gallen could easily be a $9,500 plus pitcher on any slate. So, I'm interested in Gallen. Any interest here in the Atlanta Bats?
No. I have too much respect for Gallen. I think he's on his way back to being right, and when he's right, he's one of the better pitchers in baseball. So I'm out.
Yeah, I'm not playing either offense in this game.
Nope.
Too many good ones. There's too many good offenses on this slate to play offenses in this game. I mean, really, these next 2 games. Anyway, Seattle at San Diego, 7.5 total. Seattle, a 142 favorite. It's because Logan Gilbert is pitching against Adam Mazar. Logan Gilbert, tough matchup. He's 9,700. His strikeouts have dipped. He's struggled recently. The Padres are a very good contact team. They don't strike out. I think I fade Gilbert today, and if he beats me, he beats me. I think that there's just so many better options than Logan Gilbert today.
I'm with you. I love Logan Gilbert as a real-life pitcher. I think he's a legitimate ace. The strikeouts have not taken the jump that it looked like they were going to at the beginning of the season. San Diego doesn't strike out. For that reason, he just doesn't have the upside that I think we need on this slate. I am out as well.
No chance of playing an Adam Mazar today. Listen, there's many guys I will play against Seattle, but Adam Mazar is not one of those guys. He somehow still has a job, but he has a 12.3% strikeout rate and a 14% walk rate this year. He has a 380 WOBA. He really struggled last year in the small sample size that we got to see him last year. So I don't know what's going on. Or was it last year? No, I was looking at last 30 days. He's been even worse in the last 30 days for anybody that's curious. But I don't know if this guy will make anything or do anything because he is young. But right now, he can't throw strikes, and his command is awful. And even against Seattle, I don't want anything to do with him.
Me neither. Just not good. If you have more walks than strikeouts, it's like you're not playable. So as much as Seattle strikes out, no thanks on Mazur for me.
Like Seattle.
How is this guy starting for San Diego? Seriously, like they need to make a trade in a hurry. My Cubs have a Jameson Taillon to offer up for you or something like that. Like just a solid veteran to eat innings would be so much better for San Diego than this guy.
Well, they have what? They have Yu Darvish on the restricted list, Musgrove on the IL. I mean, it's not like I would assume that like Glenn Otto would get a chance when he's ready, like health-wise too, like over this guy. I don't know. We'll see how it kind of goes down the stretch a little bit. I mean, they have guys, right? They have guys that are very young. They have a very young system, but they have some of the top prospects in baseball in San Diego, but they're all like young prospects. I know they got
the catcher Salas
Snelling. Well, they have Snelling too. Snelling, the lefty, like the tall lefty. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, who knows? Because this guy is supposed to be a huge prospect, but it just really hasn't shown up yet. If there was ever a spot to do it, it'd be this one. But what are we doing with the Seattle bats here?
Stacking them up like this guy, like we just talked about. I don't think he's any good. Seattle has plenty of power. They're probably going to swing and miss a little bit too much, more than you would like, but there's a lot of power here. And they're cheap as well, outside of Julio, who's banged up right now and may not even be in the lineup. Cal Raleigh, I think, is a fantastic play at catcher. Luke Raley, an outfielder with a lot of power. JP Crawford, I certainly don't mind. It kind of falls off from there as far as my guys that I definitely want to target, but they're playable in stacks beyond that. Dylan Moore has been sneaky good this season. Probably prefer him against lefties, but don't hate that. It's really Raleigh, Raley, and Crawford, I think, are like the three mini stack there I really like if we don't get Julio in this lineup, but I will have some full stacks too, just because Mazur is not good.
I mean, if you're Seattle, do you just put Julio on the IL and give him an extra week to kind of get his stuff going? I mean, with the All-Star break next week, I feel like this is a perfect opportunity to kind of give this guy an extra, like, go to Florida or Arizona, wherever Seattle's like extended spring training is, and figure out what the heck is going on, man.
I think that's a fantastic idea because this guy is way too talented to be struggling as bad as he has all season long. Like he's been an elite prospect since he was 16 years old, since he was signed. Yep. Like he was a massive bonus baby signing, and then he just burst onto the scene, obviously, last year. Like he's too good to be struggling this hard.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that the rest of the lineup around you is struggling as bad as it is, but Seattle has the best pitching staff in baseball, and their hitting has just been awful this year. So I think they're a team that's going to be making some moves here very soon.
Yeah, they are anyway. Their GM just loves to trade people. But yeah, with as good as their team could be, if they could find some offense, I totally agree.
San Diego, any interest in the Padres here?
Not against Logan Gilbert. The walk rate, he doesn't walk many people. He's just a solid, well above average starting pitcher, and it's a huge slate. I don't need to mess with it.
Yeah, we should mention that like Xander Bogaerts is getting really close. I don't know if they activate him for this game or they wait until the the series right before the All-Star break or after the All-Star break, but he's getting really close. He was playing the field Sunday or Monday, like his last AAA game that he played, he was playing in the field. So that's a really good sign for San Diego's lineup. Not playing them against Gilbert. I don't want to play Gilbert because I think his upside's limited, but I don't want to play this team either. Finish out the slate with Toronto at San Francisco, 7.5 total in this game too. San Francisco, a 120 favorite. We got Yusei Kikuchi against Blake Snell. Any interest here in Kikuchi?
I don't think I can do it here. I'm not scared of San Francisco, and it's a nice ballpark to pitch in, obviously. I just think that the other options around him are too strong. The strikeouts have come way down as the season has progressed. The walks are no longer elite the last couple of starts here. I guess just 2 walks in the last one. I thought he had more than that. A couple starts ago against Milwaukee, he had 4 walks, but I don't know. He's always had a home run problem. The ballpark obviously protects him from that. I don't think it's a crazy idea to play him. It's a strong slate, and the strikeouts are trending in the wrong direction. I don't think I'm playing Kikuchi here.
I'm not playing him. They're gonna throw too many righties at him for me to have interest in him today. Like I'll play Kikuchi in certain matchups, and his strikeout rate has been higher recently against righties, but overall he's a guy that I want a balanced lineup, and I think this is going to be too right-handed for him. Blake Snell, 3 rehab starts for Blake Snell. Absolutely awful in his first 2 rehab starts. Absolutely dominant in his last rehab start, but only 67 pitches in that rehab start. I think 75 is a really good guessing number for Blake Snell today. Any interest in Snell at 7,800 against Toronto?
We'll see what the pitch count looks like. I'm guessing probably 80-ish pitches, 80, 85. 67.
You didn't like my 75? Thought my 75.
Oh, sorry, I was reading something. I was hardly paying attention.
Yeah.
To it. Yeah, I think it's a little higher than 75, honestly. 80, I think, is what we could see here. I have interest just because Snell can dominate anytime he takes the mound. And we're getting a discount too. It's not like this is 9K Blake Snell. But Toronto does make a ton of contact against left-handed pitching. So I am a little concerned about upside, but because he's only 7,800, I will be taking some shots on Snell here, assuming that we're looking at least 75 pitches. If it's 85, better. But even at 75, I think I'd be in.
Yeah, he's looked awful so far. Even before he got put on the IL, got a really late spring training because of the signing. And I mean, I hope Blake Snell gets ownership and makes my decision really easy on him today. That's all I'm going to say. I really don't have a ton of interest in him, but if he's going to be low owned, I'll play him. I really hope he gets ownership today. Come on. We need the bat to project him for like 85 pitches. So like people play him.
I think he will have a very good projection in the bat. I really do.
Yeah,
I don't think he will necessarily be chalk though. Don Yeezy's asking in chat if Bayo is chalk. I don't think Bayo is chalk. I think it's Ober and Sale is the chalk. If I was just guessing the night before.
I think we could see a pretty spread out pitching slate. But I think
so
Ober is definitely going to be the guy. Like he's going to have a ton of ownership today. So I think Bayo, because he's getting Oakland, is going to have ownership. So it also depends, like if we get a pitch count number on Lodolo or not, too.
So you've got Sale, Gallen, Ober, and Snell. I think that are all really strong plays. Like those would be my top 4 pitchers probably, and maybe throw Scherzer in there too. You're right. I think we're going to see spread out pitching ownership, which is awesome because there's a lot of great plays.
This is a fun slate. Yep. We almost skipped over the bats. Any interest in the Toronto bats?
I know Snell can blow up at times. I don't think I'm going to be gambling that's what happens here today. I'm out on Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like Toronto's strikeout rates against lefties. They are a team that puts the ball in play a ton. I like Justin Turner. I like Vlad. I like Springer. You've talked a lot about Springer recently and like how he's kind of fixed himself. I don't mind a mini stack here for Toronto if Snell starts getting some ownership. He's been hit too hard He's been hit too hard this season. He got hit really hard in his 2 rehab starts before pitching well in his last one. I just don't know if Snell is right. That's my biggest issue. So I don't mind playing a little 3-man Toronto stack. Any interest here in San Francisco?
I like home run hunting against Kikuchi, but it's not a great park to home run hunt in, so I probably won't be doing it. I'm not stacking against him.
Ramos and Chapman, man, Soler, like if you want to play any of those 3 guys, I wouldn't necessarily talk you off of playing any of those 3 guys. Ramos has had a really quiet, good season. Chapman is excellent against left-handed pitching, and Holes and Soler is a guy that just has incredible amount of power. So if you want to play any of those 3 guys, I wouldn't talk you off of playing any of them. Those would be the 3 guys I like here for San Francisco. All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we'll get out of here. Fun slate, really fun slate. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button over there on the RotoGrinders Morning Grind YouTube page. Turn on notifications. Come hang out with us in chat. Derek and Yeezy having some fun right now talking there in chat. Under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. There's some options today. Who are you going with?
There are some options today. We did confirm Lodolo was starting and not Montas, right?
Correct.
Okay. I will then go with give me Waka. I think there's some strikeouts in that St. Louis lineup. He does well with splits as well. They'll probably throw a bunch of lefties at him, but I don't think it bothers him too much.
Yeah, I like that call a lot. That's who I had written down. I'll go with my boy Colin Ray. I really like what Colin Ray has been able to do this year. Give me Colin Ray. Over 8K to get under 15 fantasy points over there on DraftKings. Who's your bust today?
I'm going to go Eric Fetty. Like I said, I like him as a pitcher, but this Minnesota offense just looks like they are truly legit. Even without Royce Lewis, they're scary. So I will not have any Fetty today. I think I don't think he gets blown up necessarily, but he'll be under 15 DK points.
It's really scary, but I'm going to go with Logan Gilbert. I know he's just an outstanding pitcher, but this is a really, really tough spot. So I'm going to go Logan Gilbert under 15. Over 4K to hit a home run. Who's going yard today?
Love the matchup for Rafael Devers here against the fly ball righty in Fenway Park. Joe Yestis was very good his last time out. I don't think he fares quite as well today.
I'm going to go with Mr. Candy himself. Give me Candelario to hit home run number 15 on the season. Great ballpark for home runs. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good spot. Cal Quantrill, man. They're going to make contact today for the Reds. Under 4K to get 2 hits. Who's a cheap bet that you like today?
I'm sticking with those Reds you were just talking about. Reese Hines, awesome debut. Still really cheap, all the way down at 2K minimum price. So I will have plenty of Hines.
I'm going to go to my boy Yoshida. They might not be home runs or sexy hits, but this guy's going to make plenty of contact here against the fly ball guy. Maybe he benefits from a fly ball guy. Absolutely love the Red Sox today. I think this is a stellar spot for them. Stack to score 6 or more runs. Who do you got?
Lots of good options today. I like Houston a good amount. Even if Yordan Alvarez is not in this lineup, Rogers he doesn't have it. He walks too many guys. He gives up a ton of hard contact. If Alvarez isn't in there, it just means the Houston stack is cheaper, and I can go up for Chris Sale and the like at pitcher. So I will have plenty of Houston.
I kind of prefer Houston with Alvarez out, like if that makes any kind of sense. So
yeah, I mean, double barrel your pitchers in that scenario, and I still think they have enough upside to win the slate. So I don't hate it.
All right. My stack to score. Give me Cincinnati. I absolutely love the Reds today against Cal Quantrill in this ballpark. I really like the Red Sox too. Back to those first 2 games we talked about. Absolutely love the Red Sox against Oakland too.
Same.
Any player props or pick 'em plays that you like on this one?
Oh my goodness. So it was not up before the show. I just refreshed to make sure. Bailey Ober is even money over 6.5 strikeouts. I'm hammering that right this second and then running the scores and odds to write it up. Love that bet against the White Sox.
I wrote it up as we were going, so you don't have. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, This is scary today. My pick today is scary. If you don't like to gamble, don't listen to me today. But I'm going to take Adam Mazar under 4.5 strikeouts today. I know it's Seattle and they strike out more than anybody in baseball, but man, this guy, he just his command is not great. So, yeah, I mean, he's yet to hit it in any start this season. I know he gets Seattle here, but I like this one a lot. So Bailey Ober. Love that pick, man. That's a good one. Any other bets that you like on this slate?
There was one that let's see, what did I have? Yeah, the Royals are plus money against St. Louis. It's very close to a pick'em game. Royals at plus 105. I like that money line. Their bullpen struggles. That's why I have a little concern here. But Waka is a better starting pitcher than Palante. I think the Royals' offense is better than St. Louis. That's still up for debate. But the Royals just feel like the better team to me. I know it's in St. Louis, so that's part of the reason why St. Louis is slightly favored. But outside of the bullpen, I prefer the Royals in every aspect.
Yeah, I don't mind that one. I'm gonna go to another. Listen. I'm trying to have some fun with the morning grind game, and I did this on yesterday's slate. I'm gonna do it again here today. I got a 3-pick parlay for everyone, and I was putting it in the Hard Rock app so I can kind of get an idea of the odds. All right, so it's plus 571. We need a Rangers win to hit the Monday one so we can start the week off with a good 3-pick parlay. But I'm going to go Boston over 5.5 runs, Cincinnati over 4.5 runs, and Texas over 4.5 runs. 3 of our favorite offenses from the morning grind today. I'm going to do that one, and it's plus 571 on the Hard Rock app. So hopefully it's close to that for everybody else. Keith, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Really fun slate. Hopefully we don't get Sale getting scratched again to mess everything up. But yeah, this will be a fun one. I think there's plenty to like on this huge slate.
What's funny is I don't know if Sale getting scratched would really mess this slate up too much.
That's fair. There's so way more options than there were on Monday.
Yeah, we'll open up the weather report tomorrow. There'll be like 6 games with like orange and to mess up the slate. But right now, this slate looks fantastic. So, yeah, hopefully everyone is having a great Monday. We're out for Tuesday. See you guys again Tuesday night, 10 o'clock Eastern usually. And yeah, have a good one. We'll see you then.